My sister-in-law called me selfish and greedy after refusing to give her our house because her kids were going to be homeless after her divorce. Now she gets to see how greedy I am. My husband has a younger sister. Sister-in-law is currently going through a divorce with 4 children. My husband and I also have 4 children. My husband and I live on a very quiet country back road in our little town. We and his family are the only residents on the road. So both his sisters and their families, and his parents, live within walking distance of our house. My husband and I have been married for 7 years and have 4 young children. My husband bought the land we live on from his parents when he was 18, and when we got married, we built a house on it. We designed our house with a big family in mind and designed it to be our forever home. It has never been a thought to move or look elsewhere. My sister-in-law is going through a divorce. She is struggling, to say the least. She was in a very toxic relationship with her ex, with her contributing just as much as he was, and he filed for divorce and moved out, leaving the 4 kids with her. My mother-in-law called my husband 2 nights ago and asked if we would come over for a chat. We get there, and my in-laws and sister-in-law are sitting on the couch like they were staging some kind of intervention. It was just really strange. My mother-in-law didn't beat around the bush at all. She explained how sister-in-law's ex was getting the house in the divorce and they would be homeless within the month if we didn't give her our home. It honestly took me a second to comprehend what she even said, because it was so out of left field. My husband didn't need that second and looked them dead in the eyes and said no. In-laws started telling us things like, "You guys don't need all that house, you guys can move into one of the new neighborhoods in town and you guys can just build a new house." I offered to open up our playroom and guest bedroom to them until they could find somewhere to live. We have air mattresses and the guest room has a full bath, but that was not good enough apparently. That's when we got up and left. They began yelling after us, saying we don't care about the children, family helps family, we're being greedy and selfish. I'm honestly so proud of how we reacted because my first instinct was to go off and say some hurtful things, but we went just home, to our home. We love sister-in-law's kids and obviously do not want them to be homeless, but they don't need my house at the expense of my own children and family. I don't see why sister-in-law's family deserves my home. What about my kids? Now the in-laws are calling and texting, saying we don't care about the kids, we're selfish and greedy, we're making her homeless, and I'm wondering if maybe we were too quick to say no.
I accidentally sold my car to a bad guy and a year later the cops called me to return it and said they had recovered my stolen Civic. I sold an old car about a year ago, just a Honda Civic I wasn't using. The buyer was a little obnoxious to deal with but came through with asking price. He did demand my plates before leaving, though. I didn't give them to him but he kept trying to convince me that it was legal and that he'd turned them into the DMV when he registered it. In my state the law is you must have insurance and a trip permit from the state police at the time of transport, so what he was saying was just wrong and kinda sus. He ended up leaving and that was that. Until last week when a detective called me and said they had recovered my stolen Civic. What? I explained that I sold it last year and he got a little confused but then explained that the car was used in multiple smash and grabs and then a police chase where the robbers were arrested. A stolen vehicle report was logged by someone for the car but they called me because I was attached to the VIN plate in their records. He then said he'd call me back. Today the sheriff called me and explained that they found the car, ran the VIN and called me, but after my information they dug deeper and found that the guy who bought my car was stealing plates and never registered the car. He was the one that reported it stolen when he got carjacked at a gas station. The guy I sold it to got arrested over the weekend for stealing more plates. So now I've got a Honda Civic at the impound with my name on it and they want their money for the impound fees. I told them to keep it but now I guess they're dropping it off at my house. Wild who you run into on Marketplace. Update. Refused car in tow. Sheriff reached out to impound and alerted them that I was no longer the owner and not the responsible party. I believe the impound and the sheriff weren't communicating at first. I did have a bill of sale. I also surrendered my plates and delisted the car on my county tax website. There's no way responsibility is coming back to me. I don't even have the title anymore. And I signed it in the seller's block so if the buyer tried anything silly he'd get proven a liar quick. I don't want the car. I need the space.